Is a distinguished public policy fellow at the American University of Beirut. He's also a well-published author and political columnist, and it's good to have you with us. It's been a long time.
Thank you.
So there has been a constant exchange, no let-up in this cross-border clashes in Israel's north over the past 5 days. Right now, there seems to be no agreement on, what Hezbollah will do, because these have been sort of limited confrontations, if you like. Hezbollah is sort of keeping its powder dry in many ways. We're now at the point that whatever Hezbollah decides to do, how big of a role will that have in determining the direction of the war, if they're in or if they're out?
It's not just Hezbollah, because the confrontation is Israel and Hezbollah. So both sides have to make a decision whether to get involved in an active war or to just do tit-for-tat symbolic actions. The reality is that Hezbollah and Israel have been actively at war on and off for about 20 years or so. And they both have immense capabilities, technical and firepower, and et cetera, and determination. And they realize that they're pretty evenly matched in many ways. Israel is still a bigger army, but Hezbollah has become extremely sophisticated. So they both know that if a war starts, it's going to be massively destructive for civilians and for infrastructure, both in Lebanon and Israel. Therefore, for about 10 years or so now, they've had a deterrent relationship. There's a truce essentially on the Lebanese-Israeli border. And if somebody shoots across, the other person shoots back. If they kill a goat, they kill a goat. If they kill 3 people, as happened today, the other side kills 3 people. And that's where I think it's going to stay.
So I guess that comes down to the question now of the relationship between these groups. How closely is Hezbollah working with Hamas? There was a report in Foreign Affairs which said officials from Hamas, Hezbollah and Iran's Quds Force have been meeting regularly in Iran and Lebanon for years. Following the May 2021 rocket war between Hamas and Israel, the editor of a Lebanese newspaper affiliated with Hezbollah reported that Hamas, Hezbollah and Iran coordinated the fighting from a joint war room in Beirut. So how would you describe the relationship between Hezbollah and Hamas? Is Hamas a junior partner? Is it a friendship of convenience? How does it work?
They both have very strong ties with Iran. Hezbollah more because Hezbollah is Shiite and Iran is mostly Shiites. Hamas is Sunni Muslim, but they're very close ideologically. And they realize that if they work together, they have much more impact. It's obvious to anybody that after Hezbollah developed tremendous technical capabilities with Iranian support and maybe other people, those capabilities have been now shared with Hamas, either directly between Hamas and Hezbollah or through Iran or through third parties like the Houthis in Yemen or who knows where. How they do their coordination, we don't know. They're very secretive and they're very good now at keeping secrets. But they clearly form what they call a strategic deterrent front. And they have 1 or 2 other partners in the region like the Houthis in Yemen and smaller groups. And they see themselves as fighting for the same cause.
The U.S. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby on Wednesday once again had this warning to Israel's enemies. Here he is.
Bottom line is, as I said, we're sending a loud and clear message. The United States is ready to take action should any actor hostile to Israel consider trying to escalate or widen this war.
So for groups like Hezbollah, how much weight does that threat actually carry? Is it likely to have any impact on their decision-making process? And when Iran hears that, what do they hear?
The United States is good at many things, but it's not very good at either diplomacy or warfare in the global South. So the U.S. acts tough to support Israel. It's always done that. But I don't think these kinds of statements influence very many people in the region. If Iran or Hezbollah wanted to do something, an American threat probably would not stop them from doing it. But I think the reality is that neither Iran nor Hezbollah want to start a bigger war. The United States is hysterically obsessed with Iran for some reason. The U.S. always has to have an evil bad guy menace in the region. It used to be Iraq, it used to be the Russians, it used to be Al-Qaeda and all kinds of other groups, and now it's Iran. And it's ironic that the U.S. negotiated an agreement, a very good agreement, with Iran on nuclear issues and sanctions. But Iran is seen in the U.S. public sphere and the political elite and the media as a really terrible menace, almost as bad as China is in the U.S. eyes. And therefore, they keep playing this, overplaying this sense of we're going to stop Iran from doing this and doing that. And Iran shows no sign of wanting to be involved in the war. So I don't take very seriously what the U.S. says about Middle East ideological and political and military movements, so neither do most people in the region.
Rami Khouri, it is great to have you with us. Your insights and your experience is very much appreciated, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.